Okay, so I'm going to tell you about the first and only time I've ever jumped out of an airplane. And you'll probably know why when I get done with the story, why it was the only time. About a year and a half before this event, um, I went to a Harley rally up in Barcelona, Spain, and I met a German guy, a German national. And he came to visit me when I was at a school, a Navy school in Florida. So I was in Jacksonville. He came over to hang out for a couple of months, had never been to the States before, and um, we were hanging in Jacksonville on a long weekend and trying to decide, okay, well, what are we going to go do? You know, there's the beach, there's this, there's that, and um, I don't even know how we came up with it, but somebody said, well, let's go jump out of an airplane. I was like, okay, I haven't done that before. So we, looked around, found a place, drove down there on a Saturday. Got there, they run you through this little ground school, right? They make you basically do the whole wear the parachute, act like you're jumping out of the plane, pull the reserve, all this kind of stuff, right? You go through the whole gamut of training, and that took about, I don't know, an hour and a half maybe. And uh, there was a group ahead of us, and they jumped, and we watched them come down, and it was our turn. So the we got our suits, got our chutes on, walked out to the plane, and I don't remember the like a Cessna 128, I think it was. And the original plan was it was a high wing airplane with struts, and the original plan was the jump master was going to open the door, and we were going to hand over hand out on the strut, so we'd be out there, flying like the Superman, and then you just let go, and away the plane would fly and you would fall. So everything's good. The only seat that was in the airplane was the pilot seat, so we all got in. There were five of us, and we all shuffled in like little marshmallows in the bag back there. And the plane takes off, and it's doing this corkscrew as it climbs to altitude, right? So we're looking out the window, and the whole time I'm really not convinced I'm gonna jump. It's and they told you, hey, it's an option. If you're not gonna do it, just stay in the plane. So I'm looking out the window, and it's the old don't look down, but I'm looking down, and we're almost to altitude, and all of a sudden, blam! The the engine makes a blah blah blah, and it's dead. And I look over at my buddy Tom. I'm like, oh my God, man. Now we got to jump because up until now it was still an option. So, everybody kind of like starts scrambling for the door, and the jump master is like, sit down. So we all sit back and we're thinking, what are we going to do? But the pilot actually just wound up following that corkscrew, gliding the plane all the way back down, and landed it on the runway and coasted off to the side. So we all got out, and there were in my group there were three of us, and then there were two other people, and we're all standing there like, oh my gosh, man! I mean, is this an omen? I mean, does this mean we shouldn't go up and jump out of an airplane? And actually, two of the five people, the other two that weren't our little group of three, they took off their chutes, took off their suits, and they just walked to their car and drove away. So Tom and I are looking at each other, and Tom's like, I'm going to do it. I was like, all right, man. I'm not going to, let some German dude show me up. So anyway, we wait. A little bit later, they got another airplane, and now this airplane was a high wing plane also, but it had no struts. It had actually retractable landing gear. So this was going to be a open the door and you had to just jump out the door. That was a little bit harder. Uh, we got to altitude, door opened up, and I was the last one to jump. And I'm telling you, man, that was a tough step to make, to just step out into nothing. But eventually I did, and I got to tell you, it was one of the best experiences. It was sensory overload. Uh, Out, pull the chute, douche, and you just once that chute's open and you look up and you're like, all right, I got all the lines, nothing's crossed, great canopy. It's super enjoyable. But so that's a quick little story about my first jump.